I love you.
Those are just some of the images that have defined the decade starting May 2001, which is when Storyboard was broadcast for the first time. Hello and welcome to a month of celebrations here on CNBC TV 18 as this show completes 10 years. If 1991 started off the process of economic liberalization that changed the course of India's growth and future, the decade that followed was about companies scrambling to cope with new realities. Competition, choice, a bewildering new array of media, and above all, the expectations of the Indian consumer. I don't think I'm overstating the case when I say that the 10 years in which Storyboard has been in business have been seminal to the way brands are built and consumers or customers are served. On the show and through May, we're going to get brand custodians, promoters of companies, creative geniuses, CEOs and media stalwarts to share the milestones, the challenges, the memories and the lessons learned over the past decade. So make yourselves comfortable. You're going to enjoy this journey, and the best part you'll find out is just how personal it gets.
The impetus came in maybe 2002 or so, but work on the brand started much earlier. And it's a very interesting story. I once was talking to a classmate of mine who was in the advertising line, or who used to be in the advertising line. And I said, how do we position the ICICI? And he said, your full name is the Industrial Credit and Investment Corporation of India Limited. And you are calling it ICICI Limited. He says, your full name is a paragraph and ICICI Limited is a sentence. So you now need to understand how you want to position it and then proceed. And that got the wheels going. That was the first interaction where I thought that we needed to look at the brand in a different way. There's one more situation which came around that time. It's probably 97 or 98. I read something on brand identity, and that shook me up. The brand identity is not just the brand and the logo. A brand identity is the entire makeup of a company. And then I started going through every single thing that I could think of. We have got subsidiaries. Do we look alike? If we were to look at literature from group companies, would somebody say that this is ICICI? And everywhere I asked the question, the answer was no, no, no. So we then needed to create an identity for ourselves. This brand started becoming visible to people. At least the logos started becoming visible to people. What we stood for wasn't as yet visible. I think that visibility started when we started, I would think, mixing the logo as it is with what we were offering. And what we were offering in the year 2000, 2001, as the merger was happening, was technological access. So the ATMs became the visible face, where you saw a new ICICI, and of course it was in nice, vibrant colors.
In 1990, the waiting period for a Bajaj scooter was still a year and a half. If we had kept selling scooters, I would simply have been doing more of the same. So there was nothing new about scooters. Then came the period of the 100cc motorcycles. It was a segment in which Hero Honda took the initiative, took the lead. And while we tried to compete in the same space, I don't think we really made any impact. I don't think anybody made any impact. And even today in that space, Hero Honda is the clear leader. At some point we decided, we understood that we need to do things differently, that we have to probably start from a new niche and over time hope to grow that niche into a large volume.
Why didn't she let me know?
That led to the thought of the Pulsar, which was eventually launched in 2001. I give all credit to two people who worked with me since the day I joined the company, more or less my age. Abraham Joseph, who as head of R&D developed this motorcycle, and Pradeep Srivastav, who's our head of operations, who set up a fantastic new plant at Chakan to make the Pulsar. So between these two guys, one developed it, one industrialized it, and Bajaj was reborn.
I think the main two differentiators between our consumer businesses today and 10 years ago would be that, one, we have repositioned the Godrej brand, and it is a much younger brand. It's a much more consumer focused brand than it used to be. And secondly, we have become a global player in the FMCG sector. Today in FMCG, about 1/3 of our revenues come from outside India.
In the early period of this journey, the 2000 to 2003, 4, 5, that was a period when we recognized that the changing India requires us to have a much sharper portfolio and a much more focused portfolio. Earlier we had a large number of businesses which we had got into, which were right at that point in time, but were no longer relevant for the future that we had. So we divested. It was a period of divestment. We divested fertilizer business, fine chemicals business, adhesive, nickel catalyst, animal feeds. I could go on and on. We divested almost 20% of our business in that period to be left with a very sharply focused FMCG business, and that was really the first phase. The next phase along with all of this was recognizing that in the India of tomorrow, we would have to start building new capabilities which would be relevant for the future. New capabilities and a portfolio which would be right for the India of tomorrow.
And Mahendra Singh Dhoni gets the award from Mr. Fireworks. Straight up in the air.
The arrival of T20 changed a lot of things, and the fact that India won the World Cup, the first T20 World Championship in 2007. I don't think we realized at the time how big it was, but like all path-breaking things, you don't realize their impact till much after the event has actually taken place. If you remember, India didn't actually want to play the first T20 World Cup. We made fun of all those who played T20 cricket. In fact, India told the other countries, we have our audiences, we don't need T20. We fill stadiums anywhere. India got outvoted, were forced to play the T20 World Cup. The three senior players pulled out, gave Dhoni the team that he wanted, and the rest, as they say, is history. So I think that was one. That was the biggest event, I think, because that catalyzed the formation of the IPL.
2001 we started Big Bazaar, and I am told that the first 100 stores have been fastest in the world in terms of hypermarkets, what we opened. I think Indian customers are discovering a new way to shop. They are buying a lot of new products and new categories. So I think what modern retail has done is created demand for a lot of new categories, new products which would have not been sold by traditional retailers. Like, to just give you an example, today we sell more than 10 million pieces of terry towels, and when we started, I think India was not selling terry towels, though there was only 1 or 2 companies. Hardly we were selling less than 1 million pieces also. So I think a new category emerges when a modern retail comes in.
Driving those aspirations and changing society are the telecom brands. As 3G services roll out and smartphones rule the day, the nearly 17 rupees a minute rate of the mid-90s seems unimaginable. Today, as fierce competition drives rates to even lower than 50 paise a minute, brands and marketing have to win the day. If fast-moving consumer goods had pioneered the rules of marketing in the storyboard decade, it's the telecom companies that were rewriting them.
This company has had the conviction and wisdom of challenging the obvious very early on in its life and life cycle. when people told us postpaid customers are good and prepaid customers are not as good. They told us that high ARPU customers are good and low ARPU customers are not good, and that technology must rest always within the control of the company. We started challenging all those at our inception stage itself, and therefore we were able to create business models that were sounding to the world as very revolutionary at that time and ahead of times, but today the world benchmarks us on many of these innovations that we created. Bharti Airtel is a setup that has been created on being very mindful of the ground realities and being very commonsensical in its approach, and I think that's what will take us to the next level as we move forward as well.
If you look at the FMCG sector, the bulk of the emotional surplus in the FMCG sector is an emotional surplus. Okay. And the thought leadership comes through emotional advertising. That's what FMCG companies do. In the technology sector, the thought leadership comes from technology. So the product and the technology which goes into it is absolutely critical. In the FMCG sector, you get 6 big innovations every 100 years. So you're talking of an innovation once in 15 to 16 years. In the technology sector, you get innovation almost every month. And if you look at the FMCG sector, in the last 10, 20 years, I can't think of a big global brand which has been created. On the other hand, you look at the technology space, in the last 7 years, you have Facebook and Twitter which have been created. So the technology brands, their obsolescence, their life cycle, etc., is an immense challenge compared to the FMCG sector.
And ahead on Storyboard, how to build great brands. These are lessons from the heart.